Welcome to Inside the Franchise Growth Engine, presented by Hex Growth, a firm focused on building predictable pipelines, scalable growth systems, and enterprise value for emerging franchise brands. These are real stories from real franchise brands, but we go deeper. Inside the franchise growth engines, leaders unpack the systems, capital decisions, and operational discipline to turn growth into enterprise value. On today's podcast, we have Katie and Scott Cotton, co-founders of Dakota London, a luxury hair extension salon brand that is now expanding through franchising. What makes this concept interesting is its specialization. Rather than operating a full-service salon, Dakota London focuses entirely on hair extensions and extensions maintenance, which allows the company to develop deep expertise into a fast-growing business segment. The brand has a proven the model through corporate salons and is now preparing to scale the concept nationally through franchising. Katie and Scott's perspective is especially interesting for anyone building or investing a service-based franchise system. Thank you two for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it.
All right, Katie and Scott. So to get started, would you give us a brief overview of your background and what led you to create Dakota London?
Sure. So we both have a background in being entrepreneurs. So we both been business owners before we created this business together. Some of my background is marketing and supply chain, and then Katie.
I am a serial salon entrepreneur. I started my first salon at 20 years old, and I've been in the industry now 29 years. So 39 years.
39.
39 years.
No way. Come on, Katie. No way.
You 20, like how I just
20, 29.
No, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I was going to say. Well.
Yeah.
Awesome. So when we're looking at most salons, most salons offer extension as one of many services. And then why did you guys decide to take this concept and build an entire salon concept around just that single service?
Yeah, I started doing hair extensions early on in my career, and I really saw that there was a huge gap in hair extension specialists. I was one of the very first hair extension artists in Arizona doing hair extensions. And the most beautiful thing that I really started to learn is I was solving problems for women who were struggling with all types of hair issues. I started to specialize in a few different types of systems. And I really learned that this was something that our industry desperately needed, and it needed to be done correctly so that it wasn't causing future damage for clients that were struggling.
When you specialize in it, forgive me, for obvious reasons, I'm not really all into hair, as you can see. What about the specialization allows you to not damage a woman's hair or someone that's getting extensions their hair? What about that process, your process, that prevents against that?
Yeah, obviously with most things, when you specialize in something, that's all you are doing all day long. And so you're really honing in on the skills, and through trial and error and testing different types of techniques, we really uncovered the two systems that I really believe in. And we've perfected even the way that I was taught them years ago. The tools that we use are a big part of also not creating damage in the hair. So we created Dakota London specialized tools that go with our system.
Yeah, I love that. I actually know people that, well, I've never gotten extensions, but obviously having friends and talking about the tape versus the tie-in versus, there's so many different ones out there, and some that are better than others. And you don't realize how important it is to have good extensions, so you don't lose your hair. Yeah, it's interesting hearing you kind of talk through that. And I guess with Dakota London, when did you realize that the concept had the potential to scale beyond your initial location?
I think once we really figured out the supply chain, that's when we saw a lot of growth. Like most salons, you have to really kind of start out using a third-party source. Just because you don't have the clients, it's extremely difficult to create a hair extension line. It's a huge barrier to entry for anybody trying to get into the business. So once we were able to control that supply chain, we were able to really find the sweet spot to really, I guess, serve the masses versus really having extremely expensive extensions, right? So essentially within the market, stylists are taught to 3 times the cost of the hair to them. And normally hair is going to cost $700 to $1,000. That's for the professional. So you're looking at anywhere from, easily $25 to $3,000 for extensions. Our average cost is about 900 to 1,000. So clearly, we're passing along a lot of those savings to our clients because of our efforts through our supply chain, which we've built out through the last 13 years.
And Scott, when you talk about the supply chain, is it that you guys have come up with your own, and bear with me, it's like your own sort of brand of hair, quality of hair, material of hair that sort of sets that apart and allows you to pass that savings on to your clients?
Yeah, in the world of Alibaba, everyone thinks that they're importers, and it's sad because I think it kind of minimizes how difficult it is. Really, with extensions, it's all about the raw material. And so, when we source the raw material, it is meticulous. It is a controlled environment. It isn't something where you have these huge truckloads of hair that, is then stripped of the cuticle. And that's a lot. That's how most of it is collected. So, having that, having all of our raw material agents around the world that actually source that, once you start with a really strong raw material, and then fabricating it is really not as difficult as it may seem. So everyone's kind of working backwards in the industry, and they go straight to the fabricators that are using poor raw material. So as far as the consistency and how we do it is mostly just a guaranteed buying power each quarter, and we've continued to increase that and stockpile raw material. And so that's really what's going to help us. What's helped us continue our growth in the past is going to be the same that's going to continue our growth in the future with our supply.
Awesome. Hair extensions require regular maintenance appointments, which creates, I think, this recurring client visit, as I did a little research. How important is that repeat business to the economics of your particular model?
Yeah, retention in any business is the key. And so what we view as a life cycle of a client is 1 year. So the salon owner is really only realizing 40% of their possible revenue on the initial appointment. So client experience, checking in with them, really just making sure that they're comfortable with their extensions is something that we do regularly. And the rotation of maintenance is 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, 6 to 8 weeks is really that sweet spot to make sure that the client's hair is not experiencing damage. To touch back on that, it's super important that they do come in for that routine maintenance. And so it becomes this, great relationship from that first moment, locking them in on that maintenance timing.
And are you guys, during that initial visit, how many of your, let's say you had 10 new clients come in, how many are existing hair extension clients versus first-time extension clients?
I would say 80% are probably brand new to extensions.
Brand new.
Oh, wow.
Brand new.
Yeah. We really, it seems that's what we've noticed over time. I do think it's interesting now that the economy is shifting a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like we're having a little bit of a trickle down effect where people are searching for something that's a little bit more affordable but still high quality, and we really are filling that gap in the market, especially now that we're expanding nationally. We have about 20 territories that we've sold so far with 8 different owners, and that's just been in the last 4 months.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. As far as this industry is concerned, so what type of entrepreneur do you believe would be best suited to operate a Dakota London?
Yeah, that's a great question. We get asked that question a lot. Somebody who is really strong in culture and culture building, somebody who really enjoys being around people and supporting teams. We've built such a robust infrastructure and systems and processes and procedures. And for somebody who really appreciates what we have built coming in and kind of following, what we've built, they will be super successful. Obviously, communication is a key for me when we're meeting with potential brand partners right now. That first level of communication really speaks volumes to me if they're going to be a good fit.
So then, Katie, who probably should not buy this type of business?
This is a heart-led business. I feel that somebody that's wanting to just come in and hire somebody else to operate their business probably wouldn't be a good fit. This is about building relationships with your teams. This is all about supporting your teams, and that culture we're really wanting to share across the country. It's something very unique to the hair extension industry and the salon industry, honestly.
Yeah, I think the executive model you can graduate into that over time and have a general manager like we do for our three locations. But we've also been doing this for over a decade, and we've built. We still have many of our original stylists when we first opened. So we've built these relationships, built this culture to where we are a little bit more remote, but we still have very close relationships with everyone that works for us, and we do go into the salons, not quite as much as we used to, but certainly we're always in communication with them.
I think there's probably trade-offs, right, with that executive model. Monica and I work with a different brand, and we're starting to see some of those executives come in, and I think the trade-off is generally pretty well capitalized, yet to your point, Katie, you got to be a culture builder. You got to be in the shop. You got to be connected with your team so they know that you care, right? So I think there's always a trade-off there. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and Katie was the original Dakota London stylist, right? So there's a lot of respect that already comes with that, and so getting her to retire from behind the chair took me about a year and a half. It took a long time.
Did it actually really happen though?
It did.
It did.
Okay. Yes. As far as her retiring?
It did.
Oh, yeah.
It was like cutting the artist hands off. I really put up a fight for, I think it was a little longer than a year and a half.
Probably.
But, I saw that if we wanted to grow the business, I needed to grow and retire from behind the chair. And it's such an interesting thing because by doing that, I was able to actually understand our business much more and be more of a help to our team. And so, focusing on the needs of the business, not so much as behind the chair.
Speaking of that, so what operational system was the hardest to build when you started scaling?
I feel like the hardest part was probably education. I want to say it's so we share clients. Everyone, no one really owns clients per se. If it's a lot of times, even our clients will go to a different location depending on their availability. So they'll drive across town just to get the time or the day that they need. So we really are trying to teach our staff to apply extensions exactly the same way, so there would be no difference from where you go. So in doing that, you might have to take a lead stylist off your floor to train that person. So now you're down two people. So some of those things have been a little bit difficult. Now we have online training modules to help with that. We have different ways to shadow and really onboard them, because even though we do require hair extension experience when we hire a staff member, they're not floor ready for Dakota London. We're just a completely different level. What we're doing in 2 hours is what another stylist takes 4 hours to do on average, or even 5 hours. So they're typically seeing about 4 to 5 clients a day, which is, that's a really proficient ability to be able to do that many clients in one day.
So establishing your protocol, so it's not just that they have hair extension experience, it's the Dakota London protocols that you're requiring them to follow, right? Which is always a game of cat and mouse, at least in the beginning, right? Because I also work in a franchise that is focused on men's grooming, and we hire barbers that can do a straight razor shave or can do certain things. And are they following our brand's protocols, right? Because that's what makes our brand special in the marketplace. So that's interesting. Yeah. And is it like training up front for the the stylist and then sort of retraining on a monthly basis, a weekly basis? Like, how do you guys manage that?
For the franchise or for the
Just for your,
salons?
yeah, just for your stylist to make sure that, because stylists, everyone's busy, not just stylists, everyone's busy. So sometimes they'll fall back into their old habits. Like, how do you maintain that higher level of service that you guys, look for at Dakota London?
Yeah, so we've now built out a stylist coach position. And so we have stylist coaches that every Tuesday morning currently, we have a 9 a.m. coaching session with one of our lead stylist coaches where any of the artists from across the three locations can come and sit in on. We are really, it's funny Scott said that. It was hard building the systems out. However, it was so fun to try it out on our staff and to see how the things that we're building for the franchise was working internally. And our team has just flourished and grown so much from these systems. So we do a lot of check-ins with our stylists. If we have any issues going on, we take photos, we address it, we problem solve, and we get the stylist in with the stylist coach. So it's working out wonderfully right now. Everyone feels super supported, and we certainly are growing corporately on our skills as well.
Yeah, we'll do monthly KPIs as far as product sales, checkups, pre-bookings, things like that. So that really is also something that they look forward to knowing. Where do they stack up against everyone else, and as long as we're really coming into the review with a positive attitude and not you're in trouble for these numbers. It's just they truly do want to know where they're at because they want to do the best they can.
Yeah, and that's really the personality you want, right, in your business is the folks that are wanting to sort of see where they rank against their colleagues, but still have that positive attitude. What would you guys say is the biggest misconception people have about the salon industry? And we could probably talk about this just an hour by itself, but I'm just sort of because I was new to the salon industry when I came into working for the brand that I'm in, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know. I'm learning new stuff every day. So yeah.
Stylists I can go off of the hiring process. We have stylists that come in and they say, I never knew a salon could have this type of culture. I feel like as stylists, they are so groomed to work in a very competitive environment where they're not supported by their owners. They're not supported by their team. And when I got into the industry, that was one of my big whys and how I'm going to do this is building a very supportive system that supports careers instead of jobs. So that's been so fun, especially in the last couple of years, just to see and be acknowledged for that by new stylists coming in who've been in the industry for many years that are wanting to work for Dakota London. Misconception about hair extensions is they cause damage. That's been the biggest thing we've had to get in front of. And we really feel really strongly about how we teach home care at home and the systems that we're doing. So
yeah, I think in addition to that is the being able to create a career out of commission salons. It's such a solopreneur industry that, and obviously with all the salon suites out there, it's super easy to open your door and kind of own your single salon. But it's a lot of risk. It's a lot of work. It's very expensive. And so, what you bring is not what you take home, and your work follows you home. And so really this particular model that we've created, it's definitely we're making careers. In other words, this is not something that our staff, many of them never leave because of the support and insulation and really consistency. We don't have, I think in any region of the country, you might have a down quarter, right? Maybe in Arizona, it's because it's so hot, it's the summer. It just doesn't work that way with extensions because there's a maintenance involved in it. So we really have a really strong consistency, and I think they've come to appreciate that.
You guys mentioned a year is sort of the life cycle, and can you just walk me, who I don't know anything about extensions, and our viewers that don't know about extensions, sort of like what that looks like? They come in for their initial visit, and they're coming back every 6 to 8 weeks. Is there? Yeah.
Because you got to cut the hair, Don.
I get it.
Well, Well, I guess the year long is, that's about the average life cycle of the hair extensions before they need to be
Oh,
replaced.
okay.
Certainly, it can last
Got it.
longer, but we would again we are that's just what we're using as our baseline of what we feel like is a what we would see as a life cycle. Now, we have clients that only have them for 7, 8 months, right? Because they just over time feel like they don't want extensions. And then we have clients that have been with us for literally 13 years. So and then a lot of times people will take breaks and come back maybe 6 months later. So it's not something that every client's going to wear every single month for the year in year out. There will be breaks here and there, but the thing is that if we can be their first experience with extensions, it's really difficult to go anywhere else after that.
And I think, like you mentioned earlier about the 2 hours, that's a big deal because from what I understand, there's a lot, majority are about 4 hours,
Yeah.
sometimes longer. And I know for myself, if I were getting extensions and there was a place like yours around here, I would definitely go there. You sold me at 2 hours. So
Yeah, and we also, we publish all of our pricing online. We're extremely transparent, which is another thing that's very unusual. And because we have all the hair in stock, we do same day extensions. And so, but even, back to your point of 2 hours, I would say 90% of our clients go somewhere else for color, and we still are able to retain clients, even though they go to two different salons to do so. We're still saving them time in the chair and with the expertise in that 2 hours.
yeah, that's great. I think that's phenomenal. Okay, well, this so as you know, obviously this shows about systems, decisions, and the infrastructure that power the scalable growth. What systems or habit has had the biggest impact on the success of Dakota London?
We have an amazing tool that supports clients that are shopping for hair extensions that are curious on the type of system that would be best suited for their hair type and the amount of hair. As you know, this is a very highly shopped product and researched product. And this InstaQuote tool is so amazing. They go onto our website and they fill out a form. They put their first and last name in, and they take 3 photos of their hair, a front, side, and back photo. And they give us a little information if their hair, the density of their hair. We then receive those photos, and we immediately are able to take a look and send them a personalized complimentary quote. So it's been an amazing tool to have open up conversations with clients looking for hair extensions. And our closing rate on our InstaQuote tool is pretty strong.
Yeah, so it's all done mobilely, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
can just be on their phone, snap a couple of selfies, then that form is sent out, and then we receive it as an SMS, and then we also communicate through SMS as well. So it's really, really quick. Most of our clients never actually have an in-person consultation. They simply receive their quote, and then it's $100 deposit. We book out 2 hours ahead of time. When they get to the salon, they still have their traditional consultation, but then we move right into the service. So it really streamlines things in terms of speed and efficiency.
It's smart. Well, one of the things that I see the common thread with your answers is about being honest and transparent, which, right, Katie, traces back to your comments about having that culture in the shop, in your shop, but also it's how you guys are operating as franchisors. And I think that's wonderful, because I think sometimes franchisors can get a bad name by keeping pricing hidden or not being upfront. And the fact that you guys are offering that, not to mention, I'm very familiar. I'm from the West Coast, so I'm very familiar with the beautiful part of the world you guys live in. And I know a lot of people in Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, that area, people are busy. So having to come in and get pricing, but be able to, take a picture of it and get your quote. I mean, that to me is just convenience. It's brilliant. It's a good move. I love it. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, we get many compliments from clients via text message. You make this so easy. We love your transparency. We love the level of care that you're offering. So it really does. I appreciate you saying that. It goes hand in hand about who Dakota London is.
Yeah, it's clear. And we've Scott told us, I was going to ask Scott to act like it was a trivia question. We do know what Dakota London was named after your daughter, right? So I was going to try to act like I won some kind of prize, but we love that it was after your daughter. And you have two girls, right? Is that right?
We do.
Awesome.
Yes, Beja. We tried to take her name for another company we were building, and she told us we could not have her name, that she will be using it
I
someday.
love it.
Love that.
So cute.
Apples don't come from peach trees, right? So awesome. Okay. Yeah, great.
Thank you both for being on. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We
I
really
think
appreciate you guys having us on here. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
It was our honor.
Thank you for being on.
Yeah.